Well, hello. Welcome to week number 8. So it's pretty exciting. We're almost done. We're on our home run stretch. We just have a couple more discussion boards, a few quizzes, and one final report due. And I think that's awesome. Today you see behind me Dr. J. Michael Harding. And I have him as my background to honor him. Last weekend, he was killed in a motorcycle accident. And he was our psychologist. He was our school psychologist, and we had a very, very close relationship. You know, when you have a psychologist readily available to you as a police officer, you will quickly learn that that is one of the greatest tools you could ever have. As a municipal police officer, we didn't have that, and I would sit around for 3 or 4 or 5 hours sometimes waiting for a psychologist to show up. Dr. Harding. Was on my cell phone speed dial, and I had many a 2 o'clock a.m. telephone calls with him, and he always answered his phone. He always showed up at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning when we needed him. He absolutely loved higher education, and he absolutely loved psychology, and he was phenomenal. We are going to greatly miss Dr. Harding. And he was a close friend, you know. In fact, I refer to him as my best friend at the college. But it was funny when I'm talking to people, I say, man, Mike Harding was my best friend. I had so many people say, Mike Harding was my best friend. And that really speaks to the kind of guy he was. He was everybody's best friend because he cared about us, and he wanted to see the best for us. And there were many times when we just had fun and joked around. And you know, I always called it my weekly counseling sessions that I was contracted to get because I'd go in and spend time with him. We'd just spend time together, and so we were sorry to see him pass. And so I have him as my backdrop to honor him for the work that he did for us in law enforcement. He administered all the area police department psychological and written tests, usually for free of charge. He worked for the court system and would testify for the court, and so he's just a great man. He was absolutely phenomenal man, and our hearts are just crushed and broken to see him go. And when you have a friend of law enforcement, you have to cherish him. And he was a friend of law enforcement. We made sure that Doc Harding knew how much we loved him and appreciated him. And that's important to do because if we hadn't, when he passed, we would have regretted that. But Doc Harding knew that how much we appreciated the work he did for us, and we will miss him. And it will be hard going forward from here, and hard finding a replacement for him because I can't think of anybody who can do the job that Mike did for us. But anyways, all right. So let's talk about the discussion board. Okay. I want to talk about the discussion board today because I want to address some issues I'm seeing in your report writing, and nothing really major bad, but just some stuff that we want to address. And kind of fix, and then some funny things I saw that were some humor or whatever. So, if your discussion board was used, if I'm using it as an example, doesn't mean you did a bad job by any stretch of imagination. In fact, what it really means is that it was issues that I've seen in yours and multiple discussion boards, and we want to address it so we can fix it for the class. Okay, so those are the examples I'm using. And then there was a couple of funny examples that I thought, you know, if I'm a juror and I sit there and I read this, what am I going to think? So the first one was the statement, the car was filled with 2 passengers. Those must be some pretty big passengers if they fill the car, you know. So maybe say, you know, I approached the vehicle which had in it 2 passengers or something like that. But to say that they filled the vehicle, after watching the video, I could probably say is not accurate. I saw some people refer to the driver as the guy or just by his first name, that kind of thing. We want to be very careful about this because we are already dealing with someone who's clearly disrespecting us and is probably going to take this to court. And when we go to court and when we stand in front of the jury, we want to be able to show that we are true professionals. So we refer to this suspect by his last name, Mr. Smith, Mr. Jones. Now, to begin by introducing him, we do say Mr. first, middle, and last name. So we clearly identify who we're talking about in the report. But from that point on forward, we can refer to him as Mr. Smith or Mr. Jones because we want to make sure that we are showing respect to him and that we do not give the impression to the jury that we are disrespecting him. Here's a good one. I turned on my overhead lights and pulled the car over to the side of the road. If I'm a jury member, I'm sitting there, I'm thinking, did I just pull myself over? Because if I turned on my overhead lights and then pulled the car to the side of the road, the driver then pulled the car to the side of the road, or the suspect, or the whatever, however you want to refer to him as, did that. You didn't pull the car to the side of the road. Repeating your name throughout the report. When I start my reports, I clearly say my name. On August 25th, 2007, at approximately 5:30 p.m., I, Officer Tom Cicenti, pulled so-and-so, whatever. From that point in time on, once I identify, I, Officer Tom Cicenti, I then just refer to myself in first person. I then exited the vehicle. I then spoke to the driver. I no longer have to say I in my name, Tom Cicenti, because I've already identified myself in the report as the author of this report. Another thing that I'm seeing is when I identify myself, when I say I, Officer Tom Cicenti, we bracket my name with commas. I, comma, Officer Tom Cicenti, comma. Why do we do that? Because the words I, Officer Tom Cicenti, can be removed from that paragraph and spoken about, not needing that. And that's why we bracket that in commas, because we can actually take those words out and the sentence would still make sense. So there's an unneeded word that we can remove. So bracket your name when you first identify yourself. I was one of the statements was I was patrolling and I pulled the vehicle over with a male and female. Were the male and female sitting in the cop car with you? Because that's an indication that I pulled the vehicle over with a male and female. So I pulled the vehicle over and identified that within the car were male and female occupants or something like that. This is a very important one. The vehicle appeared to be swerving in and out of traffic. Now, what I'm going to say as a defense attorney is, officer, was the vehicle swerving in and out of traffic, or was it not? Well, yeah, it was swerving in and out of traffic. What? That's not what you said in your report. You said it appeared to be. So you clearly didn't see that happen. So I just be firm in that. I mean, there's some things you got to be careful about. Alcohol has no smell. Alcoholic beverages have a smell. So when I say I smelled the odor of an alcoholic beverage, that's being a little vague. But if I saw him cross the yellow line, I'm going to say I saw him cross the yellow line. So don't be hesitant to do that. Let's see. He then proceeded to tell me about his exploration of himself. If I'm a jury member, I'm definitely going to want to see the video on that one because it sounds like he got crazy up on that traffic stop. So maybe be a little bit more clear on the exploration of himself, because that could mean a lot of things. Let's see. It seemed like about 20 minutes before EMS arrived. Now I didn't time it. Maybe it was 20 minutes, but don't put in it seemed like. Say it took approximately 20 minutes for EMS to arrive. Don't not what you feel. Not like oh, officer, you clearly indicate that you felt like it was taking too long for EMS to show up, that kind of thing. So yeah, so that's some of the stuff I saw. I think there was one more. Oh, verbiage. He puts out his cigarette and says to me. We need to be talking in the past tense, because it's not currently happening when the jury's reading this report. So we want to say he put out his cigarette and said to me, not he puts out his cigarette and said and says to me. We want to say he put out his cigarette and said to me. We want to use those verbs past tense. Okay. So that's the discussion board portion of this video 2. We'll be talking about the chapter. I'm also going to talk just a little bit how I, as a police officer, would have handled this situation. And we're going to watch a video on why I would do that for next week. All right, so I'll see you in a couple seconds.